ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तन्न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः. Now go back to page 22. Read the verse 8 and 9. Niyatam kuru karmatvam karmajyayo hyakarmanah sharirayatra pichate na prasidhyeda karmanah यज्ञार्थात् कर्मणोऽन्यत्र लोकोऽयं कर्मबन्धनः तदर्थं कर्म कौन्तेय मुक्तसङ्गः समाचर. Niyatam kuru karmatvam. Tvam meaning you. Here Arjuna, may you perform niyatam karma. Karma, the action that is determined for you or that is right for you. Karma, the action that is done in a spirit which is in keeping with the obtaining order or harmony. As I said, there is a harmony or an order in life. There is certain flow in life, and so we are told here to go along with that flow in life rather than to go against it, because then there is harmony when we are in agreement or we are conforming to the flow, and there is conflict in our own life when we violate the flow. So niyatam kuru karmatvam karmajyayo hyakarmanah. Karma, or the action, is very useful in life. Even if you feel that action does not have any use with reference to the material ends, which is what Arjuna thought, that karma, or the action, in this case the action of fighting this battle, would bring him the victory and kingdom, and that he was not interested in those ends. So even if you find that there is an action or an effort which brings an end or a result in which you are not interested, then also perform that action if it is your duty. Suppose there is a duty or there is something that I am required to do, and I don't see any purpose behind that in terms of that action or the duty bringing any reward to me. So even if you do not find any reward in an effort or an action, still you do that. Because action is not only a means for bringing external rewards, action also is a means of bringing an inner reward, or what we call the inner growth. And therefore, if you want to bring about inner growth, if you want to bring about inner purity, meaning an inner peace, and who doesn't want to bring about? Who doesn't want an inner peace? Who doesn't want a mind free from conflict? That's what everyone wants. So if you want that, then karma, or the action, can directly do that. So even if you find an action, so there is a famous verse in the second chapter, karmanye vadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturbhuhu mate sangostva karmani. Karmaniyo te adhikara hai, it is your duty to perform karma, perform action. action that is called dharma or action that is in keeping with dharma or righteousness. Righteousness is the same as order, is the same as harmony, same as niyati. And ma karma phala heturubhuhu, may you not perform action merely as a means of producing the karma phala result. Generally action is used as a machine to produce results. So, or external results. Don't you perform an action merely as a means of bringing about external rewards? Then somebody may ask, if the action does not bring a reward, why should I perform it? Mate sanghastu akarmani. May you not resort to inaction. Because action can bring about not merely external rewards, action also can bring about inner rewards when performed in a certain way, and therefore, here Arjuna, it is only proper for you that you perform the action, meaning perform the duty or perform what is required of you in various situations. And then we discussed yesterday how performance of action has not always been pleasant. It doesn't always seem to bring pleasant results. In fact, it seems to bring about lots of hurt and frustrations very often, and there are a lot of repression, and then we say that very often we are burnt out by performing our actions. So what is it that burns us out? Is it action because of which we are burnt out? The answer is no. It is not the action because of which we are burnt out. It is the expectation that goes along with action. So here Lord Krishna now draws our attention to this certain aspect of the action. Generally we feel that it is action which stresses me out. And therefore I want to retire, I want to give up action. But it's not the action that stresses me out, it is the expectation of a reward that goes with action. It will naturally go. Everybody has an expectation, nobody performs action without an expectation of a reward. We are not saying that don't have expectation. All we are saying is that let us at least watch out from now on, what does that expectation do? All we are asked here is to understand and then decide what we want to do. But here Lord Krishna says that karma bandhana, bandhanam meaning reaction. That action brings about a reaction in the form of hurt or frustration or disappointment when the action is performed with expectation of a reward. So it is that expectation part that is responsible for the hurts and disappointments and not action itself. So retain the action because it can become a means for your own growth, and give up that expectation because that is what brings about hurts and frustrations and disappointments. Arjuna did not understand this. That is why he knew that this very unpleasant action will bring about perhaps a lot of frustration, therefore he wanted to give up action itself. Lord Krishna says, no, don't give up action. Just give up the expectation part of the action. So, usually my mind always asks this question. What is in it for me? This is a question. Before I do something, what is in it for me? And it is that which decides whether I will do things or not, or what I will do. Suppose I have choices of what I can do. Usually what I would choose that which will bring me the maximum reward. Or I will choose that which will bring about a minimum of exertion, maybe, involve a minimum of exertion. But so Lord Krishna says, let reward not be the criterion for making your choices or decisions. Then what's the criterion? Whether action is right or not. That action, let the propriety of the action itself be the criterion whether you should do it or not. This situation calls for a given response from me, and that is what is right. Whether that is most beneficial or not is not important. Meaning, whether that will bring you the most reward or not, let that not be the criterion, but in a given situation, that this is the right thing to do, let that be the criterion. Whenever you make choices, and that, let this be the attitude. The action will always bring reward. We need not, Lord Krishna says, ma phaleshu kadachana, do not worry about the rewards. When you perform the action, the rewards will come. Because that is the basic law of cause and effect. That an effect appropriate to the cause must be created whenever a cause is there. So action becomes a cause, and the result of the action is an effect, and by the law of cause and effect, appropriate result must come. But Swami, I don't see it coming. Maybe it may not come in the terms that you are seeking. It may come in different terms. That means that I was seeking promotion as a result of my hard work and I didn't get promotion. Alright, maybe. That means your action was not perhaps appreciated by your superiors in terms of the promotion. But still the effort cannot go waste. In some ways it will bring about a result. I don't know in what ways. I don't say that it will bring about promotion in future. We don't say that. But it has to bring about some result for you. And we don't even know in what way the results can come. Very often in countries like India, people complain very often that Swamiji, when we are truthful and honest and righteous, we don't seem to get reward. People who are righteous always seem to suffer, and people who are smart and they know how to bend the laws and how to get their way done, how to get their way out, they seem to be prospering. And the people who are straightforward and honest, they always finish last. This seems to be the general conclusion of people, and that is a justification for bending the laws or for compromising values. The values are compromised because only those who compromise values seem to get away and seem to succeed, and others don't seem to succeed. So that's the justification of compromising values. This is what is happening. So people observe what others are doing and they follow. Swamiji, here you cannot, it's not possible to be honest. That's what they say. Not possible to be honest. But I don't know. Maybe honesty may not bring rewards in terms of your business profits, or more higher profits, or in terms of more promotions, etc. It may not. But that is not the only reward. That you are enjoying a good health, that you have a family in which there is harmony, that your children who are all healthy and normal, and all of these are also part of rewards. What I am saying is, the rewards do not always have to be measured in terms that we have determined. The rewards are in many ways. That I keep healthy, good health, and therefore maybe a lot of medical expenses are saved. Maybe I didn't get promotion, but maybe I didn't spend 10,000 rupees or whatever, after my health bill. Who knows? So idea is that what criterion do I have to judge whether the result I got is proper or not? Lord Krishna says, you do not have enough knowledge about the scheme of things to decide that the reward that came to you is not appropriate. Because reward can come in many ways. Not only in terms of material ways, in terms of wealth or recognition, it can come in many ways. And more important than anything else, reward can come in terms of inner satisfaction. That you do that which was right thing to do. And that brings about inner satisfaction, brings about an inner strength. And that is what enables me actually to slowly become free from temptations. Because the reason why I am seeking the reward is because of a lot of temptations. But as a person discovers an inner satisfaction, the person slowly becomes free from those temptations, and then it doesn't remain very important whether or not I got those rewards, because the inner satisfaction is there. That's why Lord Krishna says that may you focus your attention on action more than on the rewards. That does not mean that one performs action without planning for the reward, etc. That's not the point. But there is no guarantee whether or not you will get the reward in the terms that you want. Lord Krishna guarantees the reward, all right, but not necessarily in the terms that we want. Because it seems that we want what we need and not necessarily what we want. Because we may not know what we need also. Just as a child sometimes does not know what it needs. Mother does not always fulfill the desires of a child. If the mother feels that the child needs different from what it demands, the mother may not fulfill. Suppose he wants 1 candy, 2 candies, 3 candies, 10 candies, And the child may not get it. You may get 2 candies, that's it, no more. Now maybe you can have a slice of pizza, or maybe you can have something, a glass of milk or something. So I don't want that. But then the thing is, it's not always that we get what we want, because sometimes what we want may not be good for us. And therefore, we leave that judgment to God, meaning to the Creator, or to the one who has created these laws. According to the laws, everything is functioning, and therefore, we leave the judgment of what is good for me to him, and I leave the judgment of what I have to do to me. Thus there is a partnership here. Karmanyavadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Here Arjuna, you make a choice and proper choice of what you should do. That's your responsibility. And Lord Krishna says, it is my responsibility to give you proper reward. Then it's a matter of trust, matter of Shraddha, whether we get the rewards or not. Of course, any spiritual pursuit is going to require trust. Trust in the words of scriptures anyway. Well, Lord, when it is said in the Gītā that the reward has to be in accordance with the cause, then we have to have the trust that the reward will come in some form or the other, and I leave it up to the judgment of the Lord who is omniscient, not as omniscient but my well-wisher. Suhridam sarvabhutanam. This is how we look upon God. As creator, sustainer, as ordainer, as karmadhyaksha, as the one who presides over all the actions, as karma phaladata, the one who gives the rewards for the actions, who is just and who is kind. So it's not like a computer, mechanical computer, you do something and you get, but it's all, he's kind as well as a well-wisher. And if you have this Shraddha or the trust, that is when we will get the strength to be able to become free from the worries of the rewards. And so, that I am free from anxiety of the reward, then I can pay my attention to the action that is at hand. This is what Lord Krishna says, Yajñāsāt karmanonyatra lokoyam karmabandhanaha, in this 9th verse, that whenever an action is performed in a self-centered attitude, then that action becomes a binding action. Whereas when the action is performed in a self-sacrificing attitude, it becomes a releasing action. It is not so much the action as much as the attitude. Whether there is a self-centered attitude or a self-giving attitude. Don't use the word sacrifice, because sacrifice always seems to create negative connotation. So when I keep on sacrificing, no. Keep on sharing, So keep on sharing. Be charitable. Be generous. So self-generosity, self-charity, self-sharing instead of self-sacrifice. That may help. Because with the word sacrifice, there's always a repression involved, because sacrifice seems to involve giving up something that I do not want to give. So let us say an attitude of sharing, an attitude of generosity. But Swamiji, I am poor. Nobody is poor. We can always at least give our feelings, our kindness we can give. I may not have money to give always, I may not have material resources to give. That's okay. Nobody even wants that. Most people, what mostly world wants is our kindness and our acceptance and our respect and our love. This is what mostly people want. After all, I need a little food that's all for appeasing my hunger. And fortunately in this country food costs very little. What is required is just, be generous, be charitable. And every situation gives us an opportunity to be charitable. Say a good word. Give them the seat instead of, it's a nice seat, give it to somebody else. While riding in the bus, give seat to someone else and you can stand for a while. And these little things, we don't even have to do big things in our life really in order to be a karma yogi. But every situation gives us an opportunity to do small things. As a doctor, as an engineer, as a lawyer, as anybody, as a housewife, as whatever I am, as husband, as wife, every opportunity, every situation gives you an opportunity to be charitable. Charity can be in terms of words, in terms of feelings, in terms of doing small things. And if I have a value for it, I will discover it. Perturbed. He asked the Brahmin to take rest and prepared bed for him in the afternoon. He had a good nap. He got up after a few hours and so what? 50 cartloads of dry wood. So where did you get this? Karna showed, what used to be palace a few hours before was now this 50 cartload of dry wood. Because they had made a promise And the idea is that the charity or generosity is something that is required of the heart, then one will always discover. If I have the charity in my heart to be good and to be helpful, don't call it sacrifice, to be helpful, to be giving, to be charitable. The thing is, to be charitable or to be helping always requires a certain amount of sacrifice on my part, in as much as I have to part with some of my convenience or something that I may have wished to do, or I may have liked to sit in the bus, I would have liked to sit near the window and I gave up that seat. It will be a sacrifice. So, charity or generosity always involves a certain amount of sacrifice of what I would have liked to do or what I could have had. So, but that enables me to discover an inner richness. And then we discover how much richness we have, how much generous we can be, how much giving we can be. It's a matter of discovery. So this becomes a process of self-discovery, discovering my own dimension. I have taken for granted that I am poor, I cannot part with anything, I have nothing, etc. And that I am small, insignificant. And this becomes the process of discovering my own significance. And significance is not to be discovered only in terms of money or the material things, is to be discovered in terms of an inner large-heartedness, generosity, inner satisfaction. So this is how the whole process of an inner discovery is set off by the change of attitude from self-centeredness to self-givingness. That's all. So this attitude of self-givingness is called yajna. Lord Krishna says, whenever anything is done with an attitude other than self-givingness. So what is the attitude other than self-givingness? Self-centeredness. So whenever anything is done with an attitude of self-centeredness, it is that which causes bondage. It is that which causes pain or hurt and conflict. That's called bondage. Tadartham karma kaunteya. So therefore, these conflicts that we have in our life, or our hurts and frustrations, are to be traced not so much to life, but perhaps to our general outlook towards life. And what is it that we have been, with what attitude I have been generally interacting and participating and doing things. So that would also enable us to understand our mind. Tadartham karma kaunteya. And Lord Krishna even says better than that. May you perform your actions with an attitude to please the Lord. Lord, in whichever form He comes before me. So as we said yesterday, the whole creation is nothing but manifestation of God. And therefore, He alone is present before me in the world that I confront at any given moment. And therefore, whenever I please somebody, I am pleasing God. Because God resides there as a self of everybody. Tadartham karma kaunteya. Therefore, hey kaunteya, hey Arjuna, we perform action in the spirit of worship of God. So worship of God need not be confined merely to the worship that takes place at the altar, which is to be done, which is good as you like, if you like it. But it can be stretched, that whole spirit of worship which we are able to express at an altar. So that becomes a good practice of what is meant by what is meant by spirit of worship. This is what we can easily bring out at an altar. Because there is no reaction from the other side. What happens is it is not easy even to do favor to other people. Very often we try to do favor to them and they react in different ways because they may not look upon it as a favor and things like that. In short, working with something that is live is very difficult because there is always a scope of reaction. But anyway, we will learn as we go along. There may be frustration. So, Swami, I try to help that person and see the way he behaves. Okay. But maybe we have to understand that person and understand what is meant by help, And so, this will make us more sensitive to others, and in general, that is how we grow in sensitivity. Because even giving also is not easy. People always will take things on their terms and not on our terms, Sometimes when you want to do favor to somebody, then person will not accept that favor unless that favor is given on the terms of that person. We do favors on our terms and sometimes we are rebuffed or rejected. Then we have to know what are the terms of that person. If giving is important to me, then I will take care, or I will be concerned about what are the terms of that person. And maybe I will give in their terms rather than on my terms. You see how it enables me to slowly tune up to other people, be sensitive to other people, and thus grow in my sensitivity, and that is spiritual growth. That is called growth, that I grow in my sensitivity. And thus every occasion or every situation presents me an opportunity thus to grow in my inner sensitivity, in my inner large-heartedness, in the spirit of self-giving. Tadartham karma kaundeya mukta sangaha samachara mukta sangaha. Without attachment to the rewards, or without any great pride about what you are doing, that's another problem. Mukta sangaha. That when we do something, there is also a certain pride in me that I did it. And so that is often this habit of self-congratulating myself, oh, I did it. And thus, there is a certain amount of pride also gets created when I do something good. Mukta Sangha, remain free from that pride. That means, whenever you perform an action, even an action of charity or action of self-giving, may you perform that in the spirit of humility and not with pride. So Taittiriya Upanishad says, Shraddhayadayam, Ashraddhaya adayam, Śrīyādayam, Bhiyādayam. Giving also is Shraddha. Meaning, so this is a life of giving. As I said, giving not merely in terms of money, giving ourselves. Whatever we are, giving. And that giving also without a sense of pride. Giving in all humility. That it is my privilege that I am in a position to give. It's my privilege that I am in a position to give. I should be thankful or grateful that this opportunity is given to me. I should be grateful also that here is someone who is willing to take. Because you can't give unless somebody is there to take. I can't give somebody something unless somebody stretches their hand, And why should anybody stretch their hand? By stretching their hand and making themselves available to receive something, they are favoring me. That is the spirit of humility. Mukta Sangha. In a spirit of humility, in a spirit of gratitude, may you do this. Otherwise, sometimes this also contributes to an increase in pride, etc. So let there not be increase in pride, let there be growth in humility and sense of gratitude, as well as growth in terms of our inner sensitivity and a desire to be helpful, desire to give. This is the method Lord Krishna suggests as a means of our inner purification, inner growth, inner satisfaction. Satisfaction is always inner anyway. Our satisfaction or a sense of fulfillment in life. After working very hard, after doing so much of duty, we do not come out with sense of fulfillment. In India, people spend their whole life performing their duties. And still at the end, they do not experience the sense of fulfillment. They very often experience a sense of frustration. And therefore they think that this all duty business is all false. But it is not the duty, but it is, number one, this expectation that I have in terms of reward. And number two, the pride that I have when I am doing something. So these are the elements. These elements actually are responsible for our conflicts and hurts and disappointments. So Lord Krishna says, give that up and continue to act. Lord Krishna does not like inactivity. He wants participation. Because the whole creation demonstrates a spirit of participation, a spirit of cooperation. Do we see anywhere in the universe the spirit of competition? This competition is only in the living beings and more so in the human beings. There is some competition in the animal world also, because there is of course the survival of the fittest, that they compete for resources. But we find that even animals and birds and creatures, they also do not compete beyond their need, meaning that animals also do not consume more than what they need. They only consume from nature what they need, and nature has given abundant for the need of all the creatures. But human being wants not merely for his need, he wants to satisfy his greed. And that's the reason why there is so much competition and conflict. It is not the need that creates this conflict. There is no scarcity as far as the need is concerned. There is scarcity because human being is greedy. There is somebody who is more powerful, and therefore he takes a lot of things for himself. He appropriates things, and somebody who is not as powerful as that person then is deprived of even the basic means. And so anyway, this is all creation of human being, the abuse of free will. So here Lord Krishna is also telling us how to properly use our free will. How not to use our power in order to dominate others, but to always help others. How to use the strength to protect the weak or to help. So whatever strengths we have, how they can be made available at the altar of Lord who is the universe. And this is how Lord Krishna says, may your whole life become a life of worship. Swakarmana tamabhyarcha siddhim vindati manavaha. Lord, in the 18th chapter, Lord Krishna says, worship the Lord in the form of the universe by your action. Archana. If you observe this process of worship here, one of the steps is archana, offering flowers. The priest will utter one name and offer flower at the feet of the Lord. And so that is called archana, making offering the feet of the Lord. Every action that we perform can become an archana, can become an offering at the feet of the Lord. Swakarmanatam bhyarcha siddhim vindati manavaha. By leading a life in this manner, manava, human being, attains siddhi, attains perfection. In the next few verses, Lord Krishna tells us now as to how the spirit of yajna or sacrifice is built in. So let us read the next verses here, verse 10. That's on the page 23. Sah yajnah praja srashtva purovacha prajapatihi anena prasavishyadvam eshavostvishta kamadhuka. So Lord Krishna describes in the form of a story the importance of yajna, meaning the spirit of self-giving. Saha yajnaha prajaha sruštva pura uvacha prajapatihi. Prajapati is the creator. Pura uvacha, said in the beginning. Prajaha saha yajnaha sruštva, having created. Prajaha, human beings, saha yajnaha, along with the yajna. So I am reading the Sanskrit according to the English, So look at the English translation, then you will see. In the beginning, Pura, the creator, Prajapatihi, having created Sruštva, human beings, Prajaha, along with Yajna, Sahayajnaha. So the creator, when the human beings were created, then the creator created also this Yajna. Yajna means the spirit of self-giving, the spirit of sharing or offering. This spirit also the creator created. This was not necessary to create when the creator created other living beings. Understand? This was necessary when he created human beings. Because human being alone has this free will which can be used or abused. By proper use of the free will, human being can bless himself, and by the abuse of the free will, the human being can curse himself. Human being is the crossroads. And this problem is not there, as best as we understand, with other creatures, because they do not have the free will, meaning that whatever they do is automatically in keeping with the ecological order or the moral order or even spiritual order. And therefore we find that life of all the universe is always in the spirit of yajna, sacrifice. See, all the elements of the universe, all of them are constantly helping, serving in the spirit of cooperation, is it not? See the elements, for example, earth, water, fire, air, space. Aren't all these earths always, all the time giving, supporting, nourishing? The water also, fire also, all the elements are constantly serving the rest of the universe. And serving without the demand of any reward also. Sun illumines our path, gives us energy, doesn't demand that I have to prostrate to him every day. Although he would perhaps like it, but it doesn't demand that we have to worship him. We look upon all these elements as gods in Vedic culture. Earth also is looked upon as God, water also is looked upon as God, fire also looked upon as God, and all of them are worshipped as God also. There are forms of worship. But they don't insist that we will give the benefit only to those who worship us. Air equally supports the life of all creatures regardless of whether they worship or even they curse. The sun illumines everybody regardless of whether anybody worships him or not. In short, all these elements of nature constantly perform their role and what is right for them to do in a spirit of offering, in a spirit of cooperation. There is no competition anywhere in the creation, there is only cooperation. Otherwise, imagine sun and the moon competing with each other, What will happen? Sun will say, I will keep on shining, will not allow moon to shine. The poor moon will have no scope at all. If sun does not set, then the moon cannot rise at all. And the moon after rising says, I will not set, I will not let the stars shine. Then the stars also cannot shine unless the moon also sets. The idea is that there is no competition, each one does their job and lets the rest of the universe also do their job, and there is a beautiful harmony. Human being requires to learn this harmony. What is built in elsewhere has to be learned by human being, that's all. Why learn? Because he has a free will. Therefore it is said here that this principle of harmony, principle of cooperation, principle of giving, that is called yajna, was also created along with the human beings, and human being was given a teaching or given this principle. So Creator told the human beings, Anena prasavishyadvam. Anena, by this yajna, prasavishyadvam, may you multiply, may you prosper. Prasavishyadvam, may you prosper. So Creator said to human beings, O human beings, may you prosper with the spirit of yajna, with the spirit of this cooperation and sacrifice or giving. Eshvos tvishtakamaduka. May this yajna be a wish-fulfilling cow. Ishtakamaduk. Kamaduk means the wish-fulfilling cow. Ishtakamaduk, the cow that fulfills all the wishes. So this is a mythological cow in the Vedic, in the Indian culture. Kamaduk or Kamadhenu, the wish-fulfilling cow. So you make a wish like you have wishing well, you make a wish and the wish is fulfilled. There is a cow that fulfills all your wish. There is a tree that fulfills all. These are the concepts there. So may this yajna, this very spirit of cooperation and giving, may that become a wish-fulfilling cow for you. The idea is that the Creator says, O human beings, you will prosper. If you demonstrate this spirit of cooperation and giving in your life, then as a whole society you will prosper, and this very spirit will act for you as a wish-fulfilling cow, meaning all your wishes will be fulfilled. All material wishes also will be fulfilled. Meaning that Bhagavad Gītā presents this principle as an excellent principle of management. Although today the management is all based on the spirit of competition, which only creates stress and nothing else. All the stress is only because this whole competition goes against the order. There is no competition in nature. In nature there is only cooperation. And when we adopted this competition as a way of, as a machine for productivity, it may produce things all right at the cost of the human beings themselves, and therefore all stresses and conflicts. So we adopted values which are against our own well-being. Anyway, that's an unfortunate thing. And so nobody can escape conflict anyway. Unfortunately, the competition is there and we have to compete. So there is nothing that you can do about it. But we should know that the spirit of competition is something that is against the law of nature. Anyway, and thus, anena prasavishyadham, by this yajna, by the spirit of giving and cooperation, may you all prosper. May this become a wish-fulfilling cow for you. Meaning, may you gain all the material and spiritual prosperity by that. So the next verse says that. The verse 11. Devan bhavayata nena te deva bhavayantu vaha parasparam bhavayantah shreyah paramavapsyatha. Devan bhavayata anena. Bhavayata propitiate. Devan, the deity, is anena with this. So may you propitiate the deities with this spirit of yajna. Te devaha bhavayantuvaha. May those deities propitiate you. See the spirit of cooperation? That we the human beings propitiate the devatas, meaning gods, meaning the rest of the universe. and may the rest of the universe propitiate us. As we said earlier, that our life is possible only because we have cooperation from the rest of the universe. If the sun illumines our path, earth gives us the support, nourishes us, as you said, the water quenches our thirst, it removes our dirt, the air sustains our life, the fire gives us warmth, the space gives us accommodation, the moon gives us moon also removes all the heat and gives us the pleasure. Thus we find that all these elements of the universe are constantly serving us. That means that we are the beneficiaries of all these, the support from the rest of the universe. This is something that we have to recognize. All these elements are called devatas. As we said, the sun and the moon, all of them are looked upon as devatas or gods. So understand that the gods are constantly supporting you. Devan bhavayata anena. May there be this spirit of gratitude in your life, not this complaining spirit. I always keep on complaining about things that I do not have, and hardly do I have the gratitude for what I have. Isn't that so very often? Complaining. And I know there is a long list of what I do not have. If I want to make a list of what I do not have, infinitely long list. And that's where my mind is always focused, what I do not have, what I do not have, what I do not have. But Lord Krishna says, may we also focus our mind on what we have, that we are enjoying tremendous privileges. As I said yesterday, that I can talk is a privilege. That is due to the grace of the presiding deity. Fire is said to be presiding deity of speech. I mean, you can have your own agreement or disagreement with reference to that, but the idea is that there is that universal intelligence which is responsible for the functioning of my body and functioning of all the various perform the various functions in my body. And thus, I am enjoying that support, enjoying that grace. Every moment, we are enjoying grace. That we are alive, that we continue, that we wake up in the morning after falling, after sleep, that we wake up is a grace. That heart, as Swami said, love, dub, love, dub. After love, the dub comes. That's a grace, And so, anything could have happened. Swami is very fond of describing the roads, in the streets in India, where he looks upon every truck, as a Yamaduta, as a messenger of death. And we have three-wheelers there. You may not even have seen them. In India, we have two-wheelers and three-wheelers. And these three-wheelers, they're all like cabs, You can hire them. These three-wheelers, the drivers of the three-wheelers are daredevils, They just drive on the road as though nobody else existed. And it becomes everybody else's duty to take care of themselves. The thing is, in India, everybody expects that others people should take care of themselves and I should have the freedom to do what I want, This is how it works there. That in situations like that, so it would become, how much we are enjoying grace would become very much clear in a country like India. It is said that some years ago, some people from Russia came to India, The Russians were communists those days, and then communists supposedly don't believe in God. They came to India and they came for something. And they spent there a month, After a month they said that now we believe in existence of God. If things can continue to happen here, in the sense that if life can go on in this tremendous amount of chaos, that means that there must be God. Otherwise, they did not see any possibility how things can go on. I do not understand. The way things are on the streets and roads of India, thousands and if Americans were to be there, thousands upon thousands of accidents would take place. That they don't take place is just nothing but purely grace. That things happen. That, in the sense, things don't happen, thank God. In spite of my going at a given speed, fortunately nobody came on my way. If they came on my way, they were smart enough to, to move away or whatever it is. But that, if I leave my home and reach the destination, I must count my blessings that how many people did favor to me by not colliding against me. That is also a favor. And we can count that favor here also, in fact. Anywhere we can count. That it could always have happened differently, really. As Swami likes to say, when we go to the hospital in the emergency room or in the hospital, we see people in their wheelchairs and things like that, and we have sympathy for them, but I can always tell myself, I could also have been there. Somebody could have struck me from behind when I am waiting in the traffic light, and I could be very much in a wheelchair, and whatever could have happened. Anything could have happened. That is not happening. That's all grace. The idea is that, so this is the grace that does a sense of gratitude for all the support that I am enjoying, the grace that I am enjoying. Devan bhaveta anena, and therefore by your actions may you also seek to propitiate all these universal forces. How do you propitiate? As I said, by the spirit of giving and cooperation. It automatically reaches them. And Brihadaranyaka Upanishad beautifully describes how in the Vedic times certain duties that are prescribed for the householders, how those duties were meant to support the entire universe. A householder was supposed to perform 5 kinds of yajnas, 5 forms of worship every day. One is worship to the gods, Fourth, worship to the needy people. And fifth, worship to the creatures and animals around ourselves. The way we worship all of them is different. The way we worship the creatures and insects is by giving them food. So by giving grains to the birds and grass to the cows and so forth, that is their worship. By giving food to the hungry and the shelter to the needy, that is the worship. And by reciting the Vedas, learning the Vedas and reciting them, teaching them, that is how we worship the sages. By serving my parents and elders, and also making offerings as prescribed, I worship the elders and ancestors. And by my various acts of worship, we worship the devatas. So these forms of worships were supposed to be there. And thus, the universe consisting of gods, the sages, the ancestors, other human beings, and other living beings, the entire universe is in fact propitiated by me, by my action. The idea is that let there be a place, let all these other people also have a place in my life. Lord Krishna says, do not become so self-centered that nobody else has a place in your life. Today there is nobody has a place in my life. And my neighbor doesn't have a place, let alone, and only as long as it is convenient to me, then people have a place in my life, otherwise I don't care. Lord Krishna says, understand, the whole universe should have a place in your life because you are what you are on account of the support that you receive from the entire universe. So let there be acts in your life that are deliberately done in order to express a sense of gratitude. There must be a sense of gratitude. And that sense of gratitude will express itself in the form of worship. Worship is not just conventional worship, as I said, worshipping the creatures, worshipping the animals, worshipping the human beings by offering what they need. Everybody has a need also, and therefore, to whatever little extent I can, by making that. So when we were growing up, as a child, I would be going to school, I would be the first one to get the lunch, first one. But before I would be served food, my mother would ask me, come on, take this little share and give it to the beggar, if there is in the street. Take this, feed the cow. Take this, put it, feed the dogs. And things like that. So there was a room for all of them. When the harvest season comes, when all the grains are harvested, before the grains are taken home, the share is given. This share for the temple, this is a share for this person. And then all the shares are first given and whatever remains is taken home. This was the spirit of sharing. Not that I am obliging them by doing that. This is a recognition of the fact that they have a place in my life because I am what I am on account of the open, clear, the evident or non-evident support that I receive from them. This Lord Krishna opens our mind, draws our attention to the whole scheme of things and our place in the whole universal scheme of things, as to how we may ultimately treat ourselves as members of the whole universe rather than merely members of a family. To begin with, that is good. But this is how we grow. So this is called the growth. More and more people and more of the universe has place in my life. To that extent, more and more I grow. So who has place in my life? Do I alone have a place in my life? That is the maximum self-centeredness. Next will be my kith and kin. then maybe my neighbors, then maybe my friends, then maybe my other fellows. But to the extent that larger and larger of this world has a place in my life, to that extent I have grown. So that is how Lord Krishna shows here a way of growing, of ultimately having the whole universe as place in my life. Slowly. This is not going to happen overnight. But slowly. At least I have a value for this. I would have a lot of difficulty perhaps in demonstrating the spirit. But as long as I have a value for this, slowly and slowly it can be imbibed. Verse 12 continues that idea. Ishtan bhogan hivo devaha Ishtan bhogan hivo devaha Dasyante yajna bhavitaha Dasyante yajna bhavitaha Tairdattana pradayebhyah Tairdattana pradayebhyah Yo bhungte stena eva saha Yo bhungte stena eva saha. Devaha, the gods, yajna bhavitaha, propitiated by the yajna, dasyante, will give you ishtan bhogan, desirable objects. So those gods, meaning this rest of the universe, the various elements of the universe, which are responsible for your life, when you propitiate them in this manner, then they will also give you the desirable things. So we get the desirable things in life. We think that whatever I have attained in my life is due to my effort. This is another thing, that I have earned this by my effort. But we should realize that whatever we have is due to the favor that we have been receiving from all these. After all, even my effort also involves what? It involves my knowledge. That knowledge also is a favor that I gained from the teachers and from the sages and from, as we say, the storehouse of knowledge available to us. I possess certain skills. The skills also were given to me. The knowledge also was given to me. Opportunities also given to me. Whatever qualifications and whatever things I possess, all of that is given to me. And therefore, there is no need for me to feel that it is all because of me that things have happened. On the other hand, that whatever I have acquired or whatever I have achieved is due to the grace and the favor that I am constantly enjoying. Thus I am constantly receiving the favor of the rest of the universe. And how long will I get? As long as that's why Lord Krishna said, if you stop participating, if you stop doing your part, you will stop receiving that favor also. It would not be possible for you to sustain even your life. But Swamiji, who is going to worry about it? These devatas don't talk to me. And whether I give them or not, who is going to worry about it? So suppose somebody keeps on cornering everything that he gets, or appropriating everything that he gets by his own, let us say, qualifications and strengths, and does not part with anything. Meaning one lives that self-centered life in this, whatever I acquire is mine and therefore nobody has a share in it, nobody has a place in my life. If there is a person like that, Taihi dattan apradaya ebhya yo bhungte. The person who keeps on enjoying and using everything that he gets without sharing, without giving their part. As you say, everybody is a part. Because, for example, the shareholders are a part, isn't it? Because all the workers, when there is a whole big organization, everybody has contributed to the profit and everybody must get a share of that profit. But if I, because I am the managing director or whatever I am, and I keep all the profit myself, then I will stop receiving the cooperation and ultimately that will be no more there. So Lord Krishna says, if there is a person who simply, because he is so self-centered that there is nobody has a place in his life, and therefore he appropriates everything to himself, then what does Lord Krishna call him? Stena evasa. See the last line. He is indeed a thief. This person, a self-centered person, meaning a person who does not part with anything, who doesn't share, who does not return the favor, who keeps on receiving the favors from the whole universe all right, and does not return the favor at all, he is called a thief. Swamiji, is he going to take into a court of law? No. This is, Lord Krishna is revealing the moral law or the spiritual law. I will not be a thief, by our local laws. But then, by the spiritual laws, I am a thief in as much as I am appropriating something that is above and beyond my own share. So the principle that we learn from here is this, that we produce the maximum that we can. That means whatever abilities we have been given, whatever talents we have been given, all the talents must be cultivated to the largest extent. And therefore we must contribute and produce to the maximum that we can. At the same time, consume the minimum. This is what it is. We take only what we need and no more, and leave the rest available for others. But Swamiji, I have money. I can afford. I can afford to buy a pair of shoes which is $10. I can afford to buy a pair of shoes which is $1,000. I can afford. Why should I not buy? I can do with only 5 pairs of clothes, but I can afford 50 pairs of clothes. Why should I not have them? It is all right that I just have a simple meal to appease my hunger, but I can have a 10-course meal, then why should I not have it? It is enough that I have just 2 bedrooms and that's enough for my need, but I can afford a 10-bedroom house, why should I not have it? You can have everything. But for what? That means that I am appropriating more than what I need, and thus I am depriving somebody else who could have it. So Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says that every time I have a bite, a morsel of food which I am putting in my mouth, the whole universe is watching me. Because whatever there is, in fact, is a universal property. There is no such thing as private property at all. And therefore, from the total resources available, the food also is anything is a resource, and when I am consuming more than what I need, then the rest of the universe is watching, because I am depriving them of what they could have. So wasting anything, for example, also is violence, because I am depriving someone else who could have had it. Consuming more than what I need. Oh, Swami, today I feel so good, I have a weakness for this thing, So when they make this kind of chapatis, I just can't resist. And so instead of 3, I have 6. Because I can't resist. I am violating myself by burdening my stomach to digest all that stuff. Apart from that, I am depriving someone else who could have had that. But Swamiji is going to be thrown away anyway. No, this throwing away is only here. In India they don't throw away. They always distribute. Whatever left after the parties and things like that, whatever food is left over, there are actually teams of people who come there at that time and collect all that food. In fact, they collect the food that is left over in the plates also. And that is fed to the animals, etc. And the food that is left over is collected and fed to the hungry people. Nothing should be wasted. To prepare all that food and waste itself is wrong, But anyway, the point is that people have parties and they have 15 dishes, 20 items, 30 items, things like that, whereas they can eat only 2 or 3. But anyway, so how wasteful our life has become, and we pride in ourselves, because this has become just now, a matter of pride. That when I had my marriage party, then I invited so many people and offered so much. So somebody else will compete with me, and his marriage party comes and he gets his son married, he will call 500 more people, and then he will have, and things like that. And what an amount of waste. Not realizing that we are wasting the scarce resources of nature. And thus thief, that means I am appropriating more than what is my share, and that gets registered, It doesn't get registered in the local laws. The IRS is not going to come to me because I may have paid my tax. I may be clever enough to deal with all these things, but then I cannot get away from the universal laws. So here Lord Krishna is revealing to us the universal laws, and they should become the criteria of conducting our life, not merely these laws. These laws are also good. We should abide by these laws, not only these laws, but the universal laws also. But what happens? Suppose I keep on doing this, what do I get? The verse 13 tells us that. Yajñashishtāshinas santah muchyante sarvakil vishayhi bhunjate te tvagam papaha ye pachantyatmakaranāt Yajñashishtāshinah. Those who eat, having first offered the food to the Lord. This is the technical way of saying. That means from whatever I get, having first made an offering to all those who are responsible. So first of all, there is a recognition in my life as to who all is responsible for my accomplishments, and having given them their due share, The nature is responsible, the society is responsible, my subordinates are responsible, my boss, all these, so many people are responsible, so much is responsible for the accomplishments I have in my life. As I said, such a simple phenomenon as just conducting this class, when would it be possible? When there is Gurukulam, when there is this hall, when there is public address system, when there is someone to operate that public address system, when there is someone to prepare, before the Swami comes here, a glass of water is here, this book is here, and this little thing that are underneath, lots of things are there, all that are required, So, somebody has taken so much care, that I look for something and I get this pot. No, that is not automatic. Somebody has taken care to place it there, And then there are different kinds of pots because they observe the Swamis as to what they like to do or what kind of things they require for their communication, and accordingly, if there are two Swamis, then two kinds of things may also be there. That there is a flower here, that there is, all these things are there. Nothing should be taken for granted. If I can take for granted, I am insensitive to things, but when I realize what all it takes for a simple phenomenon to take place, and how can the Gurukulam, the hall can be there unless so many people contributed in terms of money, in terms of their manpower, in terms of so many things. And therefore, every phenomenon is possible when the whole universe participates. So there is no individual action at all. Every action becomes a universal action, because the whole universe participates in making everything possible. And even recognition of this itself is great. It may take time, a lot of time for the spirit to imbibe in our life, but at least a recognition, a value for this. So ultimately a person who gives due share to the rest of the universe, that should be given by a recognition of the fact that I achieved what I did on account of the support that I received from them, and therefore he returns that favor and only partakes only what is left over. The simile given, the word that is used here is that when you perform a typical yaga, then you have certain materials that you have which are to be offered. So after offering those materials into the fire, to the devatas, whatever is left over, that becomes that is called amrutam, or that is called the ambrosia, or that is called prasad also, and that is what we take. So prasad that we get here, first we offer to the Lord. He takes whatever he wants. Thank God Lord doesn't take anything. That's good thing, So we seem to get what all we offer him. But when the offering is made in fire, then fire consumes those things. And then whatever is left over is a prasad that we distribute among ourselves. Similarly also, whatever I earn, whatever I achieve in terms of wealth, glories, whatever I achieve in my life, all of that also is a result of the universal participation. And therefore, I give the due share, and then whatever is left over, that is what I partake. So this is the spirit of yajna. What does it do to me? Muchyante sarvakilvishayi. They are released from all impurities. What are the impurities? The only impurity is self-centeredness. All the greed, anger, jealousies, all of these are ultimately brought about from self-centeredness. So fundamental impurity is self-centeredness. That comes from a lot of insecurity, which again comes from the ignorance, no doubt. Ignorance is ultimate impurity. That ignorance creates in me a sense of smallness, creates in me a sense of insecurity, and that makes me a self-centered person, because I'll be insecure unless I have these things. So I build around myself the fence of protecting myself, self-centeredness. And that self-centeredness in turn brings about anger. When I'm threatened, brings about fear, brings about jealousies, brings about conflicts. So that impurity in the form of self-centeredness is what is given up slowly and slowly by this process, and one becomes purer. So what is meant by purity? To the extent that I am free from the self-centeredness, to the extent I am free from insecurity, to the extent I discover inner security and inner satisfaction and inner self-sufficiency. So this life is What is meant by the spiritual life is a process of discovering inner self-sufficiency. The point is that everybody is self-sufficient because we are told everybody is Brahman. Brahman means self-sufficient. Brahman is myself, therefore everyone is self-sufficient. But I don't experience self-sufficiency. How do I experience it? I have to bring it to manifestation. I act as though I am self-sufficient. The whole process of giving is what? I act as though I am self-sufficient, and I act. And that process helps me to discover the self-sufficiency, makes me progressively free from the sense of smallness or self-centeredness. This is a growth process. The other day you heard Swamiji saying that there is some incident happened, there is no such thing. Even the knowledge, what we call it, wisdom, growth, all of that is a process. So, this is a growth process. Muchyante sarvakil vishahi. In process, one progressively becomes free from those inner impurities that create all these conflicts and hurt and guilt and sadness and so forth. And suppose somebody doesn't follow this. Bhunjate, second line. Te tu agham papaha ye pachanti atmaka tu, whereas papaha, those sinful people, atmakaranat ye pachanti, who cook only for themselves, te agham pachante bhunjate, they eat only the sin. The idea is that if I cook only for myself and there is no share for anybody else, I am not eating food, I am eating sin. That's what Lord Krishna says. Because whatever I have, then this must be shared. If I consume everything without sharing, I am not consuming that thing. I am not consuming food, I am not consuming my comfort, etc. I am consuming sin. Lord Krishna used very strong words, but here the reason for saying is that it is not evident to us. We do not even know what causes the pain in our mind. We don't know. We always trace it to mother and father and stuff like that. That is not to be traced, really. What is causing me stress? What is causing me the pain? What is causing me sadness? This violation of this obtaining universal law. Simple as that. To the extent that I conform to that order, to that extent there is harmony in my life, and to the extent that I violate that order, to that extent there is conflict in my life. So Lord Krishna tells us a method. How to become free from stress? How to become free from conflict? By following this, the obtaining law. What is that law? Is what is revealed here. We'll continue. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.